Hey Tommy, I was just watching this fun video that Carwow put out over the weekend, and basically what they did was they took a Wrangler Rubicon and compared it in a series of tests to a Suzuki Jimny, which we don't get here, right?
Off-road tests.
Yeah, off-road tests, and a Mercedes G-Wagen G63, the big boy. And I was really looking forward to this test because, you know, we've been doing off-roading here for, what, 10 years now?
Yeah.
We've taken every one of these cars off-road except the Jimny, of course.
Right.
But I'm really confused because I just don't get the results. You watched it too. What do you think?
So what happened is, spoilers granted, at the end of this 6-test off-road shootout, which was in this kind of muddy off-road area,
Yep.
all three vehicles tied in terms of scoring. And I find that pretty bizarre, especially watching the video, and especially if you know anything about off-roading. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, so, you know, we've been doing it, like I say, for 10 years, and we've taken most of these vehicles off-road. And off-roading, at the end of the day, isn't about lockable diffs, isn't about ground clearance, isn't about approach and departure angle. All those things are important, but it's really all about where the tire meets the ground, right? How much grip you have. And these guys were kind of in a muddy off-road park, it looks like. And especially at 13, I'm super confused because they took all three vehicles up a really muddy hill, and the one vehicle that didn't make it was the Jeep Wrangler. And why is that confusing?
Well, the Jeep Wrangler, we dissected the video, was running BF Goodrich mud terrains, the KM3, which is a dedicated mud-based tire. The Suzuki Jimny was running a Bridgestone Dueler HT, which is a light truck all-season tire. And the G-Wagen is running Pirelli Scorpion Zeros, which is maybe barely an all-season, but more likely a summer tire. And if there's one thing we have learned in 10 years of off-roading, nothing else matters if you don't have good tires. If you do not have a dedicated off-road tire, especially in the mud they're in, four-wheel drive system doesn't matter, skid plates don't matter, low range doesn't matter. I mean, none of it matters.
Yeah, you know, it would be, here's a good analogy, I think. It would be like having three vehicles, and forget the brands, right? We don't care about the brands. It could be any brand. It could be a G-Wagen or it could be a 4Runner. It doesn't matter, right? It's what matters is the tire. So imagine if you did a winter test where you were, let's say, on ice with a snow-covered lake, and you took three different vehicles, and one had dedicated snow tire, and the other two had all seasons, right? And you did braking, stopping, and cornering test. I promise you that there's no way on this earth where you could get all three vehicles to have the same result, because the vehicle with the dedicated snow tires would brake better, would accelerate better, and would corner better by a long shot. And this is exactly what we have here. We have one vehicle that's on dedicated mud tires, and the newest ones that there are right now, the mud terrains, right?
Yeah.
And you have two vehicles that are basically on all seasons, and yet they all tied. So I'm really confused. You know, I mean, maybe it was about momentum. I just don't know.
I don't actually. I understand your issue at minute 13.
Yeah.
My issue is at minute 1.
Right.
So the very first test they did was up a muddy slope.
A drag race, which is silly.
It's a drag race. Well, okay. I thought it was kind of interesting. You know, it's fun to do. But the results are what really complex me. Because we have driven the G-Wagen to death off-road, and we've driven the Wrangler to death off-road. In fact, we've owned every Wrangler for the past 4 generations off-road. And if you watch the video, right, Matt Watson says the G-Wagen is in low range, diff locks, second gear. So in theory, the other two should be in low range as well. In theory, to keep it even. And if you watch the start of the race, the G-Wagen takes off, wheels spin like it would in low range. The Jimny takes off, but the Wrangler doesn't spin its wheels whatsoever. And I know for a fact that if you have a JL Wrangler in low range with the diff locks, especially with that 2-liter turbo, and you floor it, that thing will spin its tires like a badger trying to get out of a bathtub. Like, that thing will spin and break loose more than any other vehicle you'll ever see. And there is no way a 2-liter Wrangler would lose to a Jimny up a rough, muddy slope. The Jimny, according to the Carwow, does a quarter mile in 18 seconds. The Wrangler, according to Carwow, does it in 15 seconds. And yes, the Jimny's a lot lighter, but off-road, on mud terrains and low range, that Wrangler should have taken off like a bat out of hell. There's no way it would lose to a G-Wagen on summers.
Yeah,
it's crazy to me.
Yeah, and look, Carwow does a lot of fun and interesting drag races, right? But drag racing three vehicles up a muddy hill isn't about the vehicle.
It's not about horsepower, torque, transmission.
No,
none of it.
It's about either the driver or the choice of direction, right? The way that you go up the hill and how the hill is either rutted out or not rutted out. It's all about traction. And once again, the mud terrains would have much better traction. A lot of you may be thinking to yourself, we do a lot of Jeep reviews, so we're trying to defend the Jeep. I don't care about the Jeep, right? What I care about are the fact that the Jeep had the mud terrains, and yet in this test, it came out equal with the other three. So I think what happened was there was a little bit of I just don't believe the results. Let me put it that way. I don't believe the results. I believe they're drag races because there you have the same traction when you're on a tarmac, right? So I believe that. But in this case, I just don't understand, and I'm really confused how all three of these would have scored the exact same with one vehicle having dedicated mud terrains.
And we've taken both the Rubicon Wrangler and a G550 with a more aggressive all-season, actually, off-road in loose and wet environments. And the fact of the matter is that G550 is incredibly impressive off-road, but compared to even ours, which has BFG KO2s, it's nowhere near as good. It just isn't on the stock tires. I mean, frankly, we have a 2000 Volkswagen Beetle that's lifted on KO2s. Honestly, I think in the mud, that would probably go further than a Jeep Wrangler on Pirelli Scorpions, because it's all about tire.
Yeah, it's all about tire. So guys, let us know in the comments below. We want to get your take on this. Normally, we don't like commenting other people's videos, but we do so much off-roading that when we see something that's just so like out of the norm, right, out of the box, we have to say something about it. And it's very convenient that all three scored the same, and then carwow says, you guys decide. This is a great video. Just don't score them. Have fun with them. Don't score them.
We'll go back to TFLcar.com. We're actually going to link carwow's video in the description below.
Yeah, well, check it out.
And let us know what you think of these results. Maybe we're completely off a rocker, but if you have off-road experience, I'm hoping you'll agree with us, because, like we said, it's all about where the rubber meets the road.